Prior to my studies in the US, I had studied in Barcelona for a year. I have countless stories of being amazed and in complete awe of the beautiful, confident, respectful, feminine women who appreciated my masculinity as much, if not more than I appreciated their femininity. When living in Europe, I had never met so many feminine women. They genuinely cared about their good health and nice character, which in turn led to a natural beauty beyond anything I had ever seen so consistently throughout any population. Almost completely at the other end of women infected by fourth-wave feminism, the women of Europe loved being female and adored me being male. They loved romance, embraced the human touch and adored sex. They had virtually no body issues and loved to share it with me at every opportunity they could. They never made me feel dirty or predatory and always appreciated everything I did for them. The contrast between the two cultures of fourth-wave feminist ideologies and the seemingly rare existence of uncorrupted femininity could not have been further apart. This is not to say I didn't have good relationships in the US or England or Australia for that matter. Just that I realize I don't think feminism will allow a man to a Western woman in the way a man can with non-Western women. The Western woman has been told to not allow it, whilst the Western alpha male recognizes he need not even bother trying. This is why more and more Western women, not comprehending they have been contaminated by fourth-wave feminism, continually ask today, where are all the good men? The answer is clear and articulated within Chapter 11 of this book. Consider the fundamental difference between countries with powerful romance and deep relationships, comparative to those infected by fourth-wave feminism. Saying hello to a woman in parts of Europe and Asia is considered neither sexual harassment nor offensive. It is instead regarded as perfectly natural, polite and complimentary. Whilst living in Europe, many times girls would ask me out or buy me lunch, unbelievable to a 19-year-old or any Westerner I would assume. In contrast, the women I had dated in Australia, the United Kingdom and now the United States of America, comparative to those I had dated in Europe, I learned the next tragic rule for Western men living in a world soiled by fourth-wave feminism. Rule 10, if you don't want to risk everything you have ever worked for, never ever approach, compliment or ask out a Western woman ever. In most cases, it's safest to not even look at her, as that's now also harassment. Do not risk it, especially with so many other higher quality options available. If you're a man who wants to succeed within the West, you cannot ever approach a Western woman. During the final weeks of women's studies, the gender divide now screamed so loudly, it meant my peers could no longer talk to, let alone hear me. I was the evolving alpha male that could neither be indoctrinated nor immobilized, hence I was epitomizing the enemy of the Efem. Although it came close, I could not be bullied into submission. Although they tried, I would not let go of logic or reason. Although the teacher tried to condition me to change my paradigm, I did understand what was right and what was wrong without artificial or hijacked labels. All of this meant no longer part of the club, labeled as a class, that was really a recruiting ground for the next generation of fourth-wave feminists. I hadn't given this experience much thought before writing this book. Now I see how significant it is, not just for me, but for everyone in the Western world. This is how it works. In the beginning, feminism is your friend. It's a just cause. It's fair and it's safe. It holds the moral high ground above anything else, thus is justified to do as it needs to advance its cause. Its purpose is taught to be so true and godlike, that nothing outside of feminism will ever come close to being worthy of questioning feminism in any way. Fourth-wave feminism is identical to how societies would murder anyone who questioned Christianity in the past or other religions of the present. It demands that you believe in its ways or to pay a great price for failing to do so. Eventually, individuals pushed into the groupthink shift from logic, truth, history, and reason, to emotion, anger, revenge and discrimination. Just as science was once blasphemy to the church, logic is now hate speech to the new religion that is fourth-wave feminism. I am convinced that many who call themselves feminists do so under a genuine belief that they are fighting for equality. I was one of those people for nearly 2 decades. The reality, however, is that while this may have rung true for the first and second waves of feminism, the third and fourth waves have absolutely nothing to do with equality, or even women for that matter. Fourth-wave feminism is its own political and social movement with its own agenda. Anyone, male, female, transgender, gay, straight, black or white, who does not submit entirely to the Efem's beliefs and hate, no matter how irrational or sexist her demands may be, will be bullied, threatened, socially and financially destroyed, and even physically attacked without mercy for their so-called hate speech that was at one time referred to as blasphemy. Just as the religious crusaders of the past were free to do unto others as they pleased, there are largely no consequences for the Efem's bullying and manipulative tactics of today. She is free to openly be sexist, racist, irrational, emotional and violent. She can make sexist clubs, classes and man-hating recruitment camps disguised with the banners of safe space, women's studies, feminism, affirmative action, equal rights, or more predominantly, victimhood. All of it is making a significantly adverse fiscal, economic, and social impact on the West. Fortunately, the voices of the loudest are not being received as the voices of the majority. Rather, the Western world is slowly making the distinction between feminism and fourth-wave feminism as the greatest threat to synergy, safety, honesty, economic prosperity, love, fulfillment and national security we have ever faced in the history of Western civilizations.